You got questions there? He just throwing questions now. Long story short, it derives from equilibrium. You know, you're trying to like be creative and make your name have this crazy meaning. So it was like, oh, you know, equilibrium is about balancing of, you know, opposing, you know, powers. And you know, my personality is kind of like that. It's not really like I'm not a middle ground person, kind of either or, but that's what a balance is, swinging back and forth. And I just, you know, the A, my name is Anthony, so I just kind of took that, you know, so shortened it up from equilibrium to A-Quil. So that's all it means. And then also, like, you know, like an actual quill that you write with, like, you can say that's like a double meaning. So, like, yeah, I use that, you know, I'm a writer. So I think it's kind of like a double meaning, but that's where the name kind of originates from. I want to say about 2000. Prior to that, it was, you know, like Dialect, the one who kind of started it all off, and him and Aaron, and they were just called Worth the Wait Productions. And then, you know, Alibi came along, DJ Suede. I came along last. We were all just kind of doing stuff individually and kind of slowly, like we were all hanging out and stuff like that. And eventually we started doing music together, and then we're kind of like, oh, we need like a, you know, group name. And we went through a few, and Dialect came up with Purest Form, and it felt right. Basically, in terms of what we felt, you know, we were trying to represent, you know, in hip hop, and like our personalities and everything. So I want to say about 2000 is like when we kind of officially formed. A lot of them, honestly, were like doing like Purest Form shows. Like our first one we all did together was like in Iowa. This place called the Exodus Fest. It looked like a small like a small Woodstock. It was like we didn't. It was weird, but it was mad fun. Like there's a lot of classic moments and jokes out of that. Another one of my favorite shows, again with Purest Form, was Five Corners. That show is more special because of two things. One, we did a radio show before that at Radio K, and Immortal Technique was in town, and he was promoting this show. And so we got in there, we had a little freestyle session, and you could tell at first he was kind of like, you know, just being cordial, like, hey, whatever. And then like when we all got kind of spitting, it was kind of like, okay, he's like, all right, these dudes is kind of, they kind of a little nice. And so he ended up, like we invited him to the show. He had something going on too. But like, hey, you know, go to, you know, Fifth Element for his joint. You like come to our joint later on. And he was like, if I come through, you know, like y'all got me. We was like yeah, you know, come through, whatever. And we didn't think he was coming. He showed up, and we were like, okay. So he came, then he checked us out. You know, he rocked it. And of course, he was like giving us tips, like, yeah, you want to do this and that. And, you know, get the stickers for the ladies and da. Like he was a cool dude. He was wild. But the other reason why, outside of that, was my cousin had just got killed like a couple months before that. And so I remember I had like his shirt on, and he was like, R.I.P. little cousin, all this stuff. And like I had like a lot of pent up energy. And I was like, you know, you don't want to wild out, do nothing crazy. And I just ended up taking a lot of that energy and putting it to that show. And so, man, like I like left it like all out there. You can ask, you know, everybody around me. They were like, this dude, you know, was on it. But that's one of my favorite shows. Also at the Triple Rock for the Gina 6. That was like a political show, and we were like right in our element. Like it was, we killed that. It was just a live show. Those are my favorites. I got a couple other like solo shows too, but those are still some of my favorites. Like good old pasta bar days. Shout out to all the cats from that. Battling, you know, dudes like Vesh, battling dudes like Illicit, and there was like one cat named like Ice Rod. He used to like rock a ski mask and all this joint. He was wild. But being in battles with those dudes, and even just like, you know, if you know like Big Zach, he used to host the joints, and even like, you know, just throwing shots at him, like, you know, fun stuff. Just kind of, if I couldn't think of a punchline for the dude in front of me, I just throw a punchline at Zach just to make people laugh. You know what I mean? But it was all love. It was all fun, and I would say that stuff was what helped me get launched like by myself. I was never a dude to like ride coattails. You know, like my crew was kind of already established, and I was kind of there, and I was like, I don't want to be that weak dude in the crew. You know what I'm saying? So I used to do that stuff to kind of build my own name in my own lane, so people saw me as an individual as well as, you know, part of the crew. I don't know, man. This might just be the culture. Like when we all came up, it was a big thing. Like just the we be in class or whatever. Like that's what I talked about on the elevators joint. How you be in class, somebody pulled a fire alarm, everybody spill outside, and right away ciphers popping off. We all kind of came up through it in some way, shape, or form. So you got guys, or at least our era. There's of course those cats that was before us, but I mean you got dudes like, of course Purest Forum that came out of there. You got High Respects that came out of Central. Meta, BDF, Guardians of Balance. You know what I mean? You got Abstract Pack, of course. Like they really laid that foundation. And all of us came through, Central. So I don't know what it is. It's just, I don't know. You come through Central, man. You just, what I'm saying? Something in the water. I don't know. Shout out St. Paul Central, Seatown. This is one, I just love doing it. Period. Like I remember, like on one of the first songs that I ever wrote called Respect. Like in the second verse, I said like, I'm not doing it for the money or fame. I do it strictly for the love plus some recognition next to my name, and it was like, that's just kind of how I always felt. I never, like everything I've gotten since that point is like been a bonus. I've never looked at it like I'm trying to like sign or get on or whatever, but it's just been a great journey. And I feel like when I get that, when I get people coming up to me like, yo, like this song was real dope, it really touched me, or maybe changed my thinking, like I was like this and now you've had this positive impact. That's the stuff to me that's like genuine, that's gold. You can't take that away, and like also just being able to make music that's timeless. Like those have always been my goals, and I want to do stuff like that. Like I want to be able to hear music that I've done 10 years ago, and hear it now and it still sounds relevant. You know what I mean? Like versus just making something that, sounds dated. Stuff like that, and just basically just being a positive person, like and just putting that positive energy out there. If words have power, and a lot of time we use that power for negative, well why not flip it? Put some positive words out there, put some positive energy out there, and I think we could definitely use a lot more of that.